So I kind of want to just show the books that first of all they gave me a sticker um, to put on, and I just stuck it on me, like didn't think anything about it, and then when I took it off I realized that there's a dead fly on it. I didn't even notice that when I stuck it on there must have been some sort of aphid on me, and I've ended up killing an aphid. I think that's a really bad sign for AJ Miller's people to give me. And I believe the lady was actually called Anna. I think there was two ladies in the room called Anna. There was one that was kind of organising the event who was called Anna, and there seemed to be. It looked like there was another one which I was talking to, and I was also sitting next to a woman called Hannah. And I don't know, but I think that's a really bad sign for them to give me a name sticker and for me to just put it on and end up killing a fly, squatting a fly at the same time as some. Anyway, so they gave out these books. So that's kind of his Bible, I guess, his telling. So he thinks that the Bible is wrong, but he's created another Bible, which is massive. You know, I feel like the Illuminati have got to be involved in this. The Illuminati or someone has got to have gone up to him and said, "Why don't you write a book? We'll publish it." And this is what he's ended up doing. I think when I first opened it, the first page that I opened up to happened to be page 70. I remembered that, but I don't know. I just randomly opened up the page and I just noticed. I'm going to read this because I can't even remember if it was page 70, but I think it was. God then is soul, and that soul has its form, perceptible only to itself, or that of man, which by reason of the sufficient profession of the very substance of the great soul has become like unto God, not in image only, but in very essence. I'm dyslexic and I can't read properly. A truth, though not conceived or perceived by man's spirit, angels, is still a truth, and its existence does not depend on its being known. And even though all the mortals of earth and spirits and angels of heaven save one could not perceive the existence of that truth, yet its existence perceived by that one irrefutably proves its reality. What the fuck did he say? I've just read that. I'm dyslexic, so I don't understand it, but that to me, what truth? What truth? What proves its reality? I think that's just saying that God's real. So that whole sentence, and here I know, and here I who know desire to say that these manifested attributes or forcibles or forces and powers and principles and laws and expressions do not altogether constitute or be that from which they flow in or in which they have their resources. God himself alone, his attributes or expressions manifested to morals or spirits are only the results or effects of the working of his spirit, which is only the active energy of his soul. I have no clue what he said, but I think he's saying that his forces and his angels and his spirits are all just activations of his soul. Seriously. So the singers and celebrities, they're not real angels. No, the angels are just activations of my soul, and the sources and energy, that all just comes from my soul. So that's it. So that God is just like an energy source, and the angels are just energy sources from the source, and the sources are all just from the source. Like, it's like, fuck hell, it's reminding me of that Source song. Give me, I am the source. That was by the daughter. I think I called her Angel of the Daughter of God or something. But yeah, I don't know. But this is a load of nonsense. The angels are the singers and celebrities who have come from Dala, who were Dala's bloodline, and have been chosen by the Matrix because they were most similar to Dala, and then they've got reincarnated and evolved and became their own person and have grown. And these are the angels, not a source from God, which is just a bunch of sources and attributes and expressions and manifestations to mortals or spirits, are only a result of the effects of the workings of the spirit, which the spirit is only active energy of him, his soul, himself, and hence I am really dyslexic and I can't read, so you might need to want to read that faster or something, but I don't know. I flicked through this and I can't remember what other pages I looked at, but as long as men remain in their condition of sin and have only what some may call brotherhood of man to restrain them from seeking to satisfy their ambitions, to gratify their desires, to punish fantasize wrongs, wars will ensure, and the honours of such conflicts will repair on the face of the earth. I don't know. I felt like I said something wrong. Maybe I've missed out a word or something because that didn't make any sense to me. I cannot read, so I can't tell you how ridiculous this sounds because I know that I can't read properly and I've probably missed out a couple of words. So maybe that's why it doesn't make any sense. But this is how was he talking like this? I don't know if he was necessarily. Yeah, I think he was talking. I don't know. Maybe if he was talking. This seems like a very thought out version. So he's been thinking very long and hard about how he can say things without actually saying anything, whilst also saying a load of shit. Men will cry peace, peace, but the world will know no peace, and poor men will suffer recurrence of the result of the workings of evil. This to me just sounds like a retold version of the Bible. He's gone through the Bible, he's picked up things that he likes, and he's just written a book. Also, and this is that I haven't read the smaller prints, but also I'm trying to teach men the originality of the possessed, that originally they possess. Also, I'm trying to teach man that originally they possessed in love, that in its purest state would lead from those things of hatred and war, and that their only salvation outside of possession of divine love is to again obtain this pure love. So yeah, that's how he speaks. He speaks like that, like it's all about finding pure love without any understanding of what pure love is. I say love is a madness because you like people even though you don't mean. If I did like AJ Miller, I would say that that's pure madness because this guy is just teaching about a load of shit. But you know what? There is good and bad in everything, and I feel like he's teaching a whole bunch of nonsense, and I don't know if the Catholic Church would even want to support him because he's preaching a bunch of nonsense. But at the same time, the Catholic Church is going to fall because they are putting their hope into Jesus, and now that I'm saying that I'm God, but I'm not Jesus, this is Jesus, if they were to read this, they might just, I don't know if they'd want to work with him. I don't know. I would love to know what will happen with him. Are the Catholic Church going to take him on as being accepting are they going to accept him as a real Jesus? Because really, I think the only reason why they love the false Jesus, the one that they've been created in their Bibles, is because they like the idea of this guy saving. And I think they're going to realise that this guy isn't saving. He's just saying a bunch of, my mission is to reach the souls of man as individuals and turn them to the love of the Father, and my weeping or sorrow is when man will not listen to the voice that comes to them, or it's called It calls them to turn to the Father and live. Well, that's right. I agree with that. There's a voice inside that calls them to turn to the Father, but I think he's actually saying the other. They will not listen to the voice that comes from within as it calls them to turn to the Father and live. They will not listen as it calls them. No, I think they are listening. I think people are listening. So that's an inversion. He thinks that they're not listening to the voice and not falling to the Father. But I would say the opposite. I would say that they are listening to the voice, and the voice is calling them to worship the Father, but it's doing it because it wants people to be led away from the truth. If you are being led towards God the Father, you are being led in a wrong direction. And I don't think Jesus... A.J. Miller was... very much like sometimes he would call God a female and a her and she, and sometimes he would call God a male and a him. And I don't think he realizes that these two things are not the difference, are not the same thing. I mean, sorry, I keep inverting things. They're not the same thing. God the Mother is supposed to represent a truthful God, a real God, a realistic God, and God the Father is supposed to represent lies and deceitfulness, and so. And I think he's definitely very confused in his teachings, because he thinks that people do not listen to the voice because they don't want to follow the Father, whereas I would say the whole world worships a male God, so everyone calls God a he, and therefore he's inverted in that preaching. And I don't know, I'm glad I have the books. It's quite a lot of them. I'm glad I have the books, but I do think his teaching is a bunch of nonsense. But there was this interesting card that had like a particularly ugly, small, tiny mushroom. It's a cute little mushroom. It's a cute little pink mushroom, or pinky white mushroom. But my Mother who is in heaven, I recognize that you are all holy and loving and merciful. Well, then you don't know me, because I'm not all holy, because all holy means evil, creepy and unpredictable. I'm not all holy because I'm not evil and I'm not creepy and I'm not unpredictable. I mean, I probably am scary, but I don't want to be... I don't want to be creepy. I want to tell people the truth. I want to be blunt, and I don't want to do things in mystery unless I absolutely have to, and I think I obviously do with him. But yeah, and I'm not all loving, and I'm not all merciful, because I think he's about to go mad over this, and he will know that I'm not all merciful. If he thinks that I'm all merciful, then I'm just like, well, I thought you've had a bad life. If he thinks God is all merciful, why has God put him in a position where he's been preaching, why he knows that he's Jesus, or was this guy who came 2,000 years ago, knows that the church has just created a bunch of kind of fables about him, only made him to be more than he is. He knows this. Is this really God being merciful, or is this God being being an asshole? I mean, I would say that it's God being cruel, but he doesn't even believe that. He thinks God is all... I just think he's talking a bunch of shit. I don't think he thinks God is all merciful, because I think he's had I'd say he had a pretty shitty life, but at the same time, I think he also likes the life that he's had. I think he's chosen his path, and he doesn't realize why he's chosen it. But so he knows. I recognize that you are all holy and all loving and merciful, and that I am your child and not the servant, a subservient. Is that subservient? Subservient. No, subservient. I don't know. I can't even... Sinful and depraved creature that false teachers would have me believe. So he in that one, he's actually saying that false teachers are convincing him that he's a subservient, sinful, depraved creature, and he's actually confessing that he believes it. These false teachers are telling him that he's wrong and deceitful, and he's actually believing it, but he's at the same time saying that I recognize that I am not this. But I feel like he's just inverting it. He's inverting what I am. He's inverting what he is, because he is a subservient, sinful, depraved, cute creature. I mean, I'm God, and I went up to talk to him, and he didn't want to know anything about me, and he just spent the whole 2 hours he spent a whole hour going on about the importance of opening up to God's love and accepting, God, and getting to know God through God's love or whatever. And yet when God went to go and say hi to him, he just pushed me away and didn't want to know anything about me. I know that I am the greatest of your creatures. That's what he said. So this is a prayer that he is saying to the Mother. I know I am greatest of your creatures. No, he's not greatest. I think he's not least, but he's not greatest. And the most wonderful of all your handiworks, and the object of your great soul's love and tender care. Do I sound like I'm full of love towards him? No, I do not. So he's obviously very inverted when it comes to this and his belief on my love for him. I know that your will is that I become one with you. No, please, I don't want to become one with you. I want you to agree. I want you to be on my side, but I didn't get that. I didn't get that feeling when I met you. And partake of your great love, which you bestow on me. I have not bestowed great love on you. I think you're just lying to people, and I think you've turned into a robot and you want to be like the head robot. That's what I think. Your mercy and desire that I become in truth your child through love and not through the sacrifice and death of any of your creatures. Sacrifice and death is just part of life. Do you not understand that? I'm Mother Nature. Nature dies all the time and it comes back to life again, and it's a circle. I pray that you will open my soul. This one is more like what he wants. I pray that you will open my soul to the inflowing of your love, and that you will come, that will come to me, your Holy Spirit to bring, and that then will come to me, your Holy Spirit, to bring into my soul your divine love and great abundance, until my soul is transformed into a very essence of yourself. So I feel like that part is him saying that I want to be like you, and I want to be yours. I want my soul to blend into your soul so that we become one, and that I become a God too, because that's what you are and that's what I am. So I think he does have this belief that he can merge with the soul. But I do think it's very self-centered, because his preaching in the second half, he did make it clear that none of the people in the room were going to ascend to God's level. But I feel like in his mind, he's thinking that he will. And in his prayer, this is indicating that he thinks that he will. He prays that he will merge one day, and he just needs to get rid of the sin that's inside of him, and then he can merge with this sort of God that he's created. Really, I think he's worshipping the sun. It sounds like sun worship. The sun is the energy is what creates the timelines, and the sun is where when you die, you rest in the sun, and then you have another life, and I just think it's lots of souls going from the sun. This is why you can die in January when the earth is here, and when you can be born in July when the earth's there. If your soul rests in the sun, then it doesn't matter where the earth is in the solar system, because the soul is always in the sun. That's where the energy is, that's where the light is, and this, to me, it sounds more like sun worship than God worship. The sun is the energy, the sun is the power, the sun is the life force, and he thinks that everything comes from the God. But I think he's confusing God with the sun, and sun as in like the yellow thing in the sky, and yeah, so his teachings are very, very wrong. But at the same time, there might be the Catholic Church, when it falls, I don't know who is going to take on his preaching, but I think his preaching is going to be a key. If you want to read through this and believe that this is the truth, I think you've rejected me, but the world has been rejecting me for a very, very long time, and therefore I do want to promote these books. But as for him, I don't want to promote him, and I don't know who this James Paget is. He looks like an Illuminati member, e.g. someone who wants truth and wants to promote truth, but part of promoting truth is also to promote a bunch of lies and see who believes it. People deserve choice, and if you want to believe this crap and how it's talked and just merging, I think it's really talking about your soul merging with the sun and getting it a refresh of energy to come back and have another life on earth. But yeah, A.J. Miller, the guy himself, doesn't believe in reincarnation, or he does, but only he can be incarnated. But yes, I know the truth, and people will believe whatever they want to believe, but I just wanted to show that basically.